Welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast. I'm your co-host Nathaniel Pearl.
And I'm Sam Sheva.
And welcome.
We here at Curious Chimps are law-abiding citizens. We do not endorse anything illegal. And anything we discuss is for entertainment and not information purposes. We are not experts, and nor do we claim to be. So please, consult doctors, do your research, read the label, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps.
We're going to be talking about depression and like dark side of dark corners of the mind and how to work through that, I guess, and kind of shit all related to just being in the down in the dumps.
I'm not even going to talk about it like I'm an expert. I just recently been depressed, and and like we talked about it, you know, like I even hesitated talking about it because I wasn't comfortable. I'm feeling a bit better now, but I still got a foot in it, sort of.
Yeah, and I don't think it's about being an expert of that topic. I don't think anyone really is. It's something you experience, and you know, people will relate to your story, will relate to our story, and whoever's story, and it's just like maybe a spark will come out of it, and they'll get them out of it, or just give them a different direction of thinking. So, you know, it's good that people are able to voice their experience of it more so now than ever. You're hearing more and more stories, even like celebrities are talking about it.
Dude, suicide is high and it's scary because it's like we give permission to each other on how to live. You know, it's like culture, zeitgeist, memes, whatever you want to call it. But so many people are growing up now, and that's like a clear option in their mind, and it's like, come on, man. You know, there's this line in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I fucking love that book. I read it twice back to back, man. It was crazy. Such a good book. The movie's amazing, but the book's better. I hate to say it, but the book is really cool. Anyway, the guy says, like, the guy is like kind of crazy, the narrator. I mean, he's like schizophrenic or something. He's like hallucinating. And if you've seen the movie, the book is narrated by the big chief. So the guy's like mute throughout the whole movie, but in the book it's all from his perspective. And he has this like hallucinatory, like spiritual way of seeing everything. So it's like a great book. And the topic of suicide comes up, and he says, I don't understand why people are so impatient. Like you just gotta wait, and you're dead anyway, you know. And there's something really morbid about that as like a perspective on suicide, because he's kind of like a big kid. He's like very strange, but that kind of hit me really well. I don't know why. That was like, shit, man. Like we're on a ride. We're going there anyway. What's the fucking? Why would you skip? Yeah. Why would you skip to the end? You know.
That's a tough question though, and you know,
it's like an oversimplification. Yeah. It's like when you play video games and you realize you're not having fun, and then you start getting into the story, and suddenly the fun starts coming back. You're like just skipping because you want the gameplay, but then you're robbing yourself of the full experience. Like it's like a really bare bones analogy. Life is obviously messier than that, but yeah.
One of my earlier mushroom trips, I had an insight and a vision of suicide and the people who've done it, and it showed me the pain that they're in. It's like they're in such pain that they needed to find an off button to this experience, and it's like
it's an escape. Yeah,
and to think of the amount of pain it requires to just do that. It was like heartbreaking when I was thinking about it. It was like, fuck. They literally just couldn't do it anymore. Like they gave it all they had, and they just couldn't do it anymore. They had to quit and just stop. And like I can't ever imagine actually the feeling, because I've never been there. Like I've thought about it, like I said with that last a few podcasts ago about my mushroom trip, when I thought about not ending my life, but I just thought about like
it was like a flippantness or a carelessness.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was kind of okay with it for a little bit, and then that rapidly changed after that trip. But like,
that's where it starts, I guess, like this feeling of worthlessness. You're like, I could just fucking die right now, you know. And then it's like, why don't I do it?
And then whether you start feeding that constantly or you kind of snap out of it at that moment, it gets way harder, I guess, if you don't snap out of it, because then you're feeding that demon more.
Maybe a lot of people don't even realize the initial, like I said, it's like insidious, you know? It's like people are just growing up in a world where it's like so many men, I'm sure a lot of women too, but it seems to be in the news that a lot of men are very suicidal. Like the numbers just skyrocketed in the last 20 years or something. Maybe it's because a lot of men are doing, they're not challenged lately, and there's like a whole topic on that, and maybe a lot of it has to do with the army as well, and maybe there's just more men in the army than women. I don't know the statistics, but it's fucked up. And what's really fucked up too is like I remember someone describing how someone who's like about to commit suicide. I don't know. I have never went like to the point where I'm like really gonna do it. I think I got like a little close sometimes because I was just, I don't know. I don't want to say cowardly, but like that's not fair. But like I was really lost. I was just in pain and I didn't know what to do, and I just like wanted to stop. I just wanted it to stop, But there's this thought that sometimes it's a relief. Like people who are in the midst of the act are like happy even. They're like, yay, it's almost over, like there's some kind of relief. And it's scary that you have to get really to the edge and even past the edge, and almost die. A lot of people almost die, and maybe subconsciously they like, it's like a cry for help, like they call it. And that's a nice term, I think, because it's like, you might fucking cut yourself or hang yourself or something horrible, and thank God it doesn't work. But then you kind of like, you have this like fear of God in you now. You're kind of like, holy shit, like maybe a bunch of people react to it or something. Hopefully something changes and it starts getting better. Not right away, of course. Your body has a lot of memory, but you start shifting after that. Like, again, I don't want to oversimplify, but it's almost like you got something out of your system.
It's like a last wake-up call.
Yeah, real rock bottom. Yeah. Just can't dig any deeper.
Yeah.
If you do, you're fucking in the dirt for real. No metaphors required. Like, that's scary.
And that's what broke my heart too, is like, we can use celebrities as an example. It's like when I found out Robin Williams killed himself, like that fucking hit home hard, man. I think it shocked the world in a sense.
There's a lot of people like that. Like God, I can't remember his name right now. I suck at celebrity names, but the Linkin Park guy.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people go into conspiracies with that stuff, so I don't want to like talk about it, like in depth. But the fact is, like, there's a Black Mirror episode in the new season where it's like a famous person, but they have even more problems. They're even more like in chains. Like, you think they're rich and they have a big house and all these things.
And apparently, he's been suffering with depression for a long time. It wasn't an anomaly. It was very.
Robin Williams too, yeah. It's like an ongoing problem, and then people start posting all these memes where it's like, the people with the biggest smiles have the biggest like thing to hide, kind of thing, and then you start looking at people differently, and you start realizing that we put on a face, we put on masks a lot, like without even realizing it.
You heard the story, the sad clown story. I think he has multiple names. Terrafini was one of them, but there's like an Italian name they labeled him. And he goes to the doctor and he says to the doctor, Doc, like, I've tried everything. Colors are gray. Taste is bland. I have nothing. The flowers are dead to me. Nothing is helping me. I'm in this dark place. I can't figure it out. And he's like going on about it. And the doctor says, he's like, look, I know what he can do for you. The great Terrafini is in town this weekend. A big clown, big performance. You should go get tickets and go watch him and you'll feel better. And he says, but doctor, I am Terrafini. And it's like, that story is like, I don't know who started that story and how long it's been around, but it's an archetype, and it's literally the story of Robin Williams, of I think it's Paul Walker. It's not Paul Walker. That's from, never mind. Paul Walker's from Fast and Furious. But
oh yeah,
but the Linkin Park singer. Sorry, yeah. No, he had a car accident.
Yeah.
Linkin Park, Anthony Bourdain. It's like from the surface, it looks like
a lot of these people had drug problems at the beginning, or maybe not even problems, but like, I started smoking weed when I was really young. Maybe I got a little like underdevelopment in some part of my brain, and I'm susceptible. Like, it's little things like that, and you don't even know how you're going to be affected.
And it's things that are also covering up pain that you never work through.
That's it. There's a chicken egg argument. Like, you're obviously self-medicating in a sense if you continue, or unless it's just addictive as well, like cocaine or something, or alcohol.
And from the surface, it looks like they're having a great life. Bourdain is also like, when you see a Bourdain story, it's like, fuck, man. Like, what more can you do? This guy had the perfect life from the surface. He traveled the world, had the best food, met the best people, had a beautiful wife. You know,
was very talented. Was very smart.
Was fucking training hard too. He was a jiu-jitsu.
That's
blue
it.
belt.
He started jiu-jitsu so late, and it's like
and like all the advice that you hear for depression is like start exercising, surround yourself with positive people. Like this guy was doing all textbook.
It's so funny that you see someone in their later years getting into a new sport, a martial art, a difficult mental and physical game, and that's like that seems like a hope. But then in retrospect, now that it's like the deed is done, and he's like killed himself. It's like even hard to say, but like he, you know, then in retrospect it looks like a red flag. It's like he's looking for ways to fucking help himself. He's just like, I need to do something. I need to dive in. And there was a line in I think it was Get Him to the Greek, or like one of those movies there with that dude
Russell
there.
Brand. I love him.
He's great.
Yeah.
But like his wife says, you turn everything into heroin. It's like he's not on the drug anymore, but the drug wasn't the problem.
Wow.
And he actually even has a great quote, like I saw recently. I don't know it exactly, but it's like, there's no gateway drug. Like your upbringing is your gateway drug, and we can't like attack people for that. We have to give them like compassion and love and like education. Yeah. And it's crazy that we just like incarcerate people for drug use.
Yeah, it's like that one I never understood.
When I was young, I was like on board, you know, I was like stupid there, but now I realize it's like these people are desperate to shift their consciousness. Yeah. They're trying to escape. And then you put them in a prison. You do the opposite thing they were trying to do. It's like, and then it's like they're on suicide watch. It's all upside down, man.
The whole point of prison was supposed to be rehabilitation. It's back to society, right? It's punishment and then rehabilitation is like the concept.
I guess. I mean, I see that it's like that in some other countries, and it's getting better. But there's a lot of.
You're not rehabilitating if you're hooked up on drugs. You get locked up in a fucking cell with fucking rapists and who knows what, and then you come out of it.
And there's drugs in prisons. Yeah. There's like, you know, that's like a lot of illegal shit's going on inside a prison. Those guys are there all day, every day. They got nothing else to think about. Like, you ever realize how your cat in your house like knows all the tricks? Or I get like your dog in your case, like they have nothing else to do but figure out how to do what they want. Yeah. They're just sitting there like thinking and going, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that?
And my dog's figure out how to go into the drawer where the cookies are, and she opens it up, and I see her feasting. I don't even bother her.
It's a funny, stupid like a comparison, but it works. Yeah. It's like my dad's always surprised when the cats like get in the section with the rooms, because it's like a first door to the hallway and then all the other rooms. But like they hear him open his door, they're waiting for him. They know he's gonna close the door slower or forget to close the door. I don't forget to close the door. No one else forgets to close the door, but he does sometimes. So they know that, and it's just conditioning, which is back to the point. Like we're product of our environment, whether we like it or not. We just get conscious of that, hopefully, and then, you know, hopefully with help as well, but with ourselves, with our knowledge, we start manipulating our environment, which comes back into us. I think that's like that. There's always that kind of indirect way of helping ourselves. Like we said on the last podcast, like you can't control your emotions directly, but you can control your breath, and that can feed into your mental state. Huge.
Yeah, man, that's big that you're talking about environment and the condition, the effect it has on you. And I was watching recently a video. This guy was talking about how I think it was a TED Talk. I forgot where I was watching it, but he was talking about this whole perception of addiction up until now was completely wrong.
Was it Dr. Hart there, that dude?
No.
Well, it's like a
but
popular...
But it's probably under the same... They're all talking to the same point. But I think it's more just accepted now. I think Dr. Hart was one of the first that was kind of poking at it. But he was talking about the lab test to see what's an addictive substance. They would give rats the cocaine in the water drip, whatever.
Oh, yeah, the whole...
Yeah, so it would be...
The rat park versus the cage there? Yeah,
so the tests all happen the same way. One rat who's not on drugs, one rat who is, in a cage, nothing around them, just that water source.
Yeah, they're trying to do like a controlled scientific test, and it's like, oh, they love cocaine. Cocaine is addictive. And it's like,
so, but of course he's fucking addicted. He's in a cage with no stimulus.
They got nothing else to do.
So they started reenacting the same test, but like adding a bunch of shit.
I want to meet the scientist who was like, hey, wait a second.
Look at the fucking environment.
Yeah.
Like how is if you have a fucking button, you're in a locked room, and there's one button that makes you feel incredible.
Doesn't matter what that button does. It can make you feel shitty too.
You're going to fucking press that button a million times because you're in a locked room.
You're just bored. Yeah, it's the thing to do, literally.
So it's like looking in retrospect, in hindsight, it's like, well, it was such an obvious answer, but I guess in the moment it's like They're rats. They're just fucking put them in a cage and do the test. So then when they started putting it in, like, I guess they had a wheel, they had some grass, they had a little bit of, like, I think other rats in there. It was like more social. They could
socialize. They had different foods, maybe, or like
they started doing the cocaine like recreationally every now and then. It was like they're like, "Fuck, you guys chilling? You're chilling. Let's go trip a little bit." They get the cocaine and then they do their shit. A few days later, they go again. Like it's
that's it. Everyone listening probably just thought of that one friend who like does coke on the weekends, but he's actually really successful. You know, like
but you hear those stories. And
well, you don't though. That's what's weird.
I've heard, but I know some people that just do coke like once in a blue moon.
That's it. But like maybe it doesn't stick in the brain as much because like you never see that shit on the news. It's not like punchy.
But maybe their environment behind them is good, you know. And
or maybe they just didn't start early.
Yeah,
you know, that's another problem. Like I said
There's
earlier,
so many factors in what makes you addicted to a substance.
We could talk forever. Yeah.
But the thing is like that just shows you how much of an impact your environment can have on your mental state. Yeah. And you see people in shitty environments, they'll go to the drugs to supplement that issue, and then eventually the drug's not working as much or it wears off way faster, and then they start substancing other things, and then it's just like this fucking spiral effect, and then before you know it, the drug's not even doing anything at that point. It's just literally, it's fucking absorbed you.
Yeah, and what's sad is that effect, I find, I'm sure it comes in waves, but I find that effect is with good habits as well. You know, like eventually you get used to the gym or something, you know, and then it becomes your normal, and then you might have reasons to feel shitty in the day or the week or the month or the year or whatever. And then it's like it's easy to feel like you lost your grip on yourself again. And it's like, oh no, I am depressed now. Like you're owning that emotion. Whereas like Ram Dass or someone would say like you're like the body is experiencing depression, and you can not a lot of people have access to that observer philosophy, but it's fucking paramount, I think, especially these days for fucking everybody. You know, you need some Sam Harris's out there just telling you like meditation is scientifically proven. It doesn't have to be a spiritual thing. That word is very loaded. It is obviously a very spiritual thing no matter what. But it doesn't have to be a religious thing or like, it's just for everybody. You can do that. I've been doing it a lot lately because I've been stressed out the last couple of days. Meditating. Yeah. And sometimes I need to meditate to be back into my body, but then I feel like knots in my body. You know, my fucking, dude, my core, my diaphragm, my psoas, like all these things, I feel them like they're really wound up, and it messes with my breathing and it gives me anxiety. So it's like my anxiety gives me anxiety. So I'm just like, I get like a Swiss ball, I put it next to my couch, so like my head's not hanging off because it's like bad for your neck, and I just like stretch open my body. I'm just like, my head's facing, like I'm looking up at the ceiling, and I just fucking open up, and I stay there for like 20 minutes. Wow. And it cracks open my body, and I could breathe so well after. I got that shit from what's his name there, Elliot Holst. Yeah, Holst. That guy's interesting. He had a very good talk on London Real. I only watched clips, but he says he does something to like shake himself out of the ego daily. Oh yeah. What was it called? Oh man, that was the first video I ever saw of him. Yeah. It was like this nicely edited video, and he's like he's like shaking and screaming. Release. Yes. Is it does? Yeah. And he's crying and stuff. My two buddies went to one of his talks in Montreal like 4 years ago, and he got the whole place to just start chanting. Getting up and screaming and chanting, everyone just like and apparently like I wish I was there. I regret not being there, but they were all like chanting and dancing and just going fucking crazy. And he said like, on the count of 3, I just want you to release whatever comes up. Just fucking let it out. There's no judgment here. And everyone was screaming and howling. And then after, it was like, my friend called me like an hour after the event, and he sounded like something significantly changed. He was like like everything just flushed through him, and he was motivated and pumped. And he said it was like one of the most powerful experiences because it was collective. Everyone was doing it together. Yeah. And it's just like we have this pent up energy inside, and it's just like this storage. And sometimes you can release it in training and meditation, yoga, whatever. But when it's there and it's not being dealt with, it's eating away at you, and it's getting fed with more anger and more. All this energy is being fed to this demon. Let's use that word for that sensation. And as that demon grows and grows and grows, it can take over you, man. You know, and it's like when you can just release. Some people just need to scream, and they don't know that they need to scream. Yeah, there's a lot of like animalistic, like just normal stuff about being a human, or I guess like having a human body, if you want to talk about it in that observer sense.
We take ourselves out of the animal kingdom, but we're definitely where our DNA comes from.
It's this cultural. It's just normal, you know. People aren't screaming on the street or something. I mean, maybe depends where you live, I guess. But like, if you're lucky, you'll hear.
Come to my area at midnight.
There's always one guy, but like, the whole time you're talking, I'm like, oh yeah, like this ceremony. Like I'm just thinking the ayahuasca ceremony. Like I got out of there feeling like whatever the depression tank was empty, you know. And my friends, everybody, they're like, I see you're just more, like they would say the word zen or something, you know, like just like put it in some box. But it's like my body wasn't telling me how to live for a little while. There was this emptiness, a good emptiness. Like I was lighter. I was just lighter.
I'm going to tell you a story about the breathwork session I was with. Well, you weren't there. It was the one I went to before you came. Because I did 3 that summer. And I'm a savage, I guess. But I felt like it was really necessary. And it was. Because it's been...
I got to turn that on. Every fucking podcast, my phone
nice
goes...
a little hello. And, yeah. So, I did 3 ceremonies that summer, the past summer. And it just... For what I was going through, it kind of just kickstarted me. And like it really, it's put the needle back on the record, and it's been spinning ever since, you know. And I know how it feels to have the needle on the record now, whereas before I kind of felt lost, you know. So this one was intense, and the breathwork session is we do the ayahuasca ceremony the first night, the morning after we do breathwork, and then we do ayahuasca again that night, and then the morning after breathwork, and then we go home. So that's just kind of how the itinerary goes for reference. And so day 2 breathwork, first of all, it was a heavy weekend regardless. And day 2 breathwork, there was a lot of older gentlemen there. There's a guy in his 60s or 70s maybe.
Nice.
And another dude looked maybe late 50s, early 60s. And noticed after day 2, he still had a lot of tension inside. You know, usually by the second day, everyone has a big smile on their faces. It's kind of like we worked through our shit. And right before breathwork, he didn't have a smile on his face. He was in a dark place, and he spoke to the facilitator, and started telling him, I don't know, it was in French. He started telling him something, and then the facilitator tells all of us, we're going to do a different style of breathwork first. And he sets up an altar in the middle of the circle. We all sit in a circle, and he's like, we'll use Jean. I think the guy's name was Jean-Philippe. He's like, Jean-Philippe has offered himself. He has a lot of anger inside, and he's been trying to release it for years. And if you're all okay with helping him release it, let's give him our presence. So we're all good for that. No one's gonna reject. We all want to heal in those circles. And when they laid him down in the middle, and they called four of us to hold him down, 1 on each leg, 1 on each arm, and so he's pinned against this like mattress, you know, and he's lying there. And then the facilitators explained to us that anger is an emotion too, just like love, just like anything. It's a powerful feeling, and we kind of hide anger. We don't accept that it's okay to be angry sometimes. We kind of we're taught that anger is something that you should push away and hold back down and keep pushing it down the pipes and hide it deep in the core. You know, like when you're feeling angry, it's not okay. This is not something you should feel.
It's impolite or uncouth or something, yeah.
But what is that? Why are we ignoring that? That's something that needs to come out.
Side note, I think it's just like a fear of like a projection fear of like loss of control.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how to sublimate our emotions in general.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that for all of us. And is it the right move to push it back in and just hold it and bite your tongue? Maybe in the moment, but what's that doing to you? What's that doing to you in 6-7 months when there's just one fucking thing that just snapped all those 6 months of suppression, and then you just explode?
It's bodily stress. It's fucking cancer or a heart problem.
Yes. Yeah, and we're seeing that more and more. People just snap out of nowhere. They just lose their shit. You're hearing stories. It's usually people in their 40s. It's been the common story. It's just like, and sometimes it manifests into like a midlife crisis. Someone just does something manic. Whether buys a fucking crazy car, just does something, and that's how they release it. But other people do something a little bit more terrifying, you know, and either to themselves or others. And it's like, where did this start from? And you have to go back. So anyway, that's what he kind of explained to us. So they started fucking playing some very tribal music, very like heavy drum percussion, rhythmic, like pounding sounds, heartbeat style. And he said, whatever happens, he might start screaming, he might cry, he might scream to get out of there, but he's committing himself to 30 minutes, and we all need to commit to him too. So when that started, it was just like heavy percussion. A lot of people were playing instruments, and you saw he was squiggling, he was uncomfortable, he didn't like feeling stuck. And they gave me a drum at one point. Allison gave me a fucking drum, and I'm just like, I wanted it too. It was weird. I'm like, I want this. I want to be part of this more. And she gave it to me out of nowhere. So I'm just.
Weren't you one of the guys holding him down?
Near the end, yeah.
They needed some muscle.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, I see where this is going.
So I was just fucking smacking that drum, like, fucking release it, bro. I'm like, in my mind, I'm just sending him messages, just release it. I'm hitting the drum hard. I'm like, boom, 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 boom. And the drum beat was just like, boom, boom. And I'm just like adding my own fucking beat to it.
Syncopations.
Pretty much. And then I just started going like, bah, 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 like
machine. Jazzy with it.
So I'm putting some style into it,
That's it.
So then this guy, about 5 minutes in, I don't know what happened to the room, but we all started feeling angry. It was weird. It was
this really sounds like an exorcism. I gotta be honest.
It might as well.
You don't even need context. Yeah, it's like then the demon tried to attack us.
From the outside view, it's an exorcism, and this is after 2 days of ayahuasca and 1 day of breathing. We're all super in tune with emotion, with state of mind, with feeling and energy. So it's like
there's equanimity. You're feeling it, but you're like letting it be.
And for those who've done ayahuasca, will understand this feeling, and those who are seeking to go in, there's a very big benefit of doing it in a group setting.
Necessary.
Yeah. Some people prefer to be alone, and I see where they're coming from.
Maybe at first necessary. Yeah. Or like we said in previous podcasts, it has its own very powerful benefits. And in my opinion, with my one experience, I feel like it was 80% of it. You know, like ayahuasca was the icing.
Yes.
And it was beautiful, but fuck man. I needed the rest of the stuff more than anything.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going back, and I'm thinking of the people I met. I'm thinking of the people who run the show. I'm thinking of the environment. The medicine is really this like peripheral thing that you just have to kind of accept and deal with in the moment, and that's it.
I look at it now as like a spice to the food.
That's it.
It's like everything's set up perfectly for you to experience what you need to, and then the medicine is just that extra shove to make you realize what you already have. So. Yeah. The whole room starts getting hot. I just felt heat. I was sweating. Maybe it's from hitting the drum so intensely. And the guy starts screaming. Jean-Philippe starts going, ah, ah, trying to fight off. And like some guy, like Joel almost got flown off. And Joel double downs on his left leg or whatever. And Joel, he's like the most gentle man you'll ever meet.
He's got pipes though. I saw his arms.
So he's just fucking pressing. And
he looks like a farmer, bro. He's got strength.
And then like Mathieu was like, okay, like he signaled to everyone to come close. And this is maybe 15 minutes in, and I'm fucking hitting the drum right next to his ear, just smacking the drum.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, fucking let it go. And he's screaming, "Say, it's enough." He's singing in French. It's enough. I can't. And we're holding him down. And then I put the drum down because like he's fighting everyone at this point. So we all put our bodies on him. Or I'm holding his right pec down, like holding tightly, and I feel his heart.
Jiu-jitsu, bro. You go for the joint.
I'm like right at the connection. I'm just holding up, like, you're not going anywhere.
I got him in full mount or whatever the fuck.
And this man just starts. I had a good placement. Like that's in my mind, I'm like, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's it. So you guys dogpiled him.
Yeah. So and then he starts screaming, and then I don't know what happened, but there was like a wave. So, before the whole thing started, he said usually after anger comes grief. So it's not uncommon that people start crying because they're releasing whatever's stuck. So he's screaming, and just going super intense, man. And I still can vision it like it happened yesterday. And
I can imagine.
Yeah, this one's gonna stick forever, And screaming, crying, screaming, and then he just breaks down. He takes one deep breath. And just like shatters into tears, like uncontrollable tears. But at the same moment he cried, the whole room cried. I was fucking head on his chest. I wasn't even holding him anymore. I was just my forehead on his chest, like bawling. Like, bro, I've never, like, I spoke about my mushroom trip, how I cried at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It was amplified. I was like pouring tears, and I'm weeping. I don't even call it crying. I was weeping, and then weeping, and I look up, and I see Bianca, one of my fucking sisters. She's looking at me at the same time we both looked at each other, and we're both fucking covered in tears and fucking mucus from our nose, and just staring at each other, fucking crying. And that picture right there was like, that sticks in my mind more than anything. But it was like, there was pain that was shared, you know, and that's what I think could have helped Bourdain, what could have helped Robin Williams, is when people look at them without the persona that they're a celebrity, and just shared their pain for that moment, where you can actually connect with someone on a deep level and just work through it together without all the bullshit story. You know, I think sometimes because you're such a celebrity, because they're such a celebrity, they're pushed into a little corner and that they've created for themselves, and there's no one there to help them out of it. And it was like that moment, he released whatever he had to release, and like we all did. It was like an insane emotional ride. Yeah,
it's the,
you know,
I kind of just put two and two together recently, like about celebrities. Like there's an inherent isolation, and that's why they hang out with each other, because they understand their lives, you know. And like the same level of celebrity, like they mingle, like it's the proof's in the pudding. It's interesting to see that.
And that's a big part of depression, is I think isolation, you know, and people feel like they just can't connect to anyone.
Even if you're not famous, like you
might
just have like a bottle of pills that, like, you know, might help. I'm not throwing that shit under the bus, but I'm saying like you might just have like a, you know, you're not talking about it with your family, or you don't have like a, let's say like a second surrogate family that you can really express yourself with. Or maybe you just don't know how to express yourself. Maybe it's good to do it alone, but you end up just kind of spending an hour or two a week like talking to a guy about your problems. And I've not been to therapy yet, and I really want to try it. I really want to go, especially lately. I think it's going to be awesome. But how many of them are going to tell you, hey man, just scream a lot, or like do this breathing technique? Like it's I hope so.
Be surprised.
I would be. I think I would be.
One of my good friends, he's been battling depression a long time, and I told him about mushrooms. He's been seeing a psychologist. I told him about mushrooms, and he's like, okay, I'll bring it up to my psychotherapist, my psychologist. And she told him, she's like, you're not there yet. I'll let you know when you're ready to go into the mushroom route.
Perfect.
It's something I think it would really benefit you. And when he told me that, I wanted to give that lady a hug. I'm like, yes, you've been there. You know what's up. Like, you know the benefit of this kind of stuff.
That, like when you were saying, like there's no experts on depression earlier, I kind of thought of that. Like there are experts, but I would say that they're not, unless they've also been depressed. Really a true expert. And then on top of that, there's all these, let's say, new old medicines that are resurfacing that need to be explored by these people also. You could be a really efficient and productive and effective psychotherapist, but a lot of people just don't trust, you know, the pharmacy company, the pharmaceutical company, the government in general, you know. And then if you take some shrooms and you get all freaking creeped out, that might be a bad idea. So this girl's really smart. She's like, yes, later, you know, like, I'm glad you brought it to my attention. Like that person has either a really good education, a lot of her own personal education, or just a lot of cool personal experience that helps her be a better therapist. I was thinking, I had this weird dream last night actually about being a therapist and crying with my patients, and just owning that, just feeling it, and then them thinking like, aren't you supposed to be like kind of like agnostic about the whole thing? And it's like, no man, I'm a fucking human being, and you're doing better, and I feel your pain, and I'll try not to take it home, but you know, I'm a therapist who needs therapy, who cares, kind of thing, you know. Like I'll go talk to somebody too, but like this is helping you, and you're weeping right now, and I feel that, and that's okay. I'm not just gonna sit there and be like better than, you know, like And I mean, I don't know if that really does apply if you're a therapist, but it was kind of this like shift in perspective for me through a dream of all things, which is cool. Segue. No, I'm kidding. we'll hit dreams later. If at all. Fuck, we have like what, an hour left? Half hour left?
We'll go with we'll just see how it goes.
It's flowing nice, man. I like it.
But yeah, man, and you know, you're talking about going to therapy, and it's like these ceremonies we go to, like, it's a therapeutic environment, man. And like, I think for me personally, I found That's my psychotherapy. It's like, that's how I really get to the bottom of the shit, you know? And that's why I think for those who are ready, it's such a powerful fucking tool that not many people know about, but it's growing quick. You're hearing more and more of this, and it's like, we're talking about it here, you know?
How do you know you're ready, though? Like, what's your opinion on that? Because I really resisted it for a while. You know, I thought I had some kind of calling that I was waiting for, that people talk about.
That's the hardest thing, is knowing when you're ready. But it's one of those things where you're seeking for it, and then you hear about it from a friend or something, and then it's the opportunities is coming up. Mm-hmm. It's like all those align. That's when you're ready, and then everything after that's your resistance. Like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. But you've already agreed to saying it at that moment in time. And it's like everything after that is just bullshit.
You fucking like, nailed it, man. Yeah. Ever since I heard about it, I was like, I'm doing this eventually. And the more it became real, the more I was like, I don't know. I'm not hearing no call, you know? Like, I'm not getting no signs. It's like, what are you talking about,
That's
bro?
like the kid wiggling around when he's punished, you know? It's like, I just want to I'm on timeout, but I just want to fucking do something.
But it's the guy it's that story you just said. Yeah. It's the anger turned into grief. It's like this resistance turned into this, like, holy crap, I needed this. Like, there's this, or even before that, it's like this curiosity and this instant, like, acceptance that I'm going to do this suddenly shifts to this resistance. There's just this weird kind of cheminement, like this weird story that's told, and it's just like psyche. It's just normal. It's
the funniest thing, and the way I look at it too is the more I forgot who said this, maybe no one, but this is beautiful, is the more resistance you have before the trip, the more intense the trip's going to be. You know, it's like, but the more like fulfilling and rewarding the trip will be as well, because it's like that much resistance is what's been holding you back in everything. You know, it's coming to be exposed right before, because you're going to face yourself and you know it's coming, you know?
I think that's where the set and setting is really important also for beginners, let's say, because there's this accountability or this inability to hide. Like, even during the trip, if you got some magical fucking defense mechanisms, as the epiphany comes, you throw it in a box. You know, just, oh shit, box. Oh shit, box. And then you're done, and there's no integration. There's no, like, you just kind of feel like you did a thing. You know, there's a little badge of honor or a little notch in the belt or whatever you want to call it. And like in my case, you might even feel a lot worse after. I was talking to a friend, Shanti, Miriam. This girl fucking helped me. So many of my friends helped me. I couldn't have done it without them. But she said it like, oh, you're having a little post ayahuasca depression, you know, like, it's such a thing, it's such a normal thing. And it's like, yeah, I really am. And I realized it was just like a lot. I faced a lot instantly, and I didn't know what to do with it, and my ego was still like just fully charged. And it's been what, like 3 months? Fuck, man, I just been smoking weed the whole time and like wallowing in a kind of like confusion that turned into depression. Not even necessarily any kind of conscious self-pity or anything, but it just kind of rocked me, and I didn't have the tools. Like, it's amazing the things I don't hear, because one of my other friends I was speaking to while I was depressed was my friend Coco. We should have him on too. He's insane. He's so smart and so awesome and has such a big heart, but he, like, the way he talks is like Coco, like, you know, like Joey Diaz. Like, I have my own Coco. I literally his name's Concezio. He's like a fucking bro, you know, but he's amazing. And he said like, you know, David Goggins? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And he goes, yeah, man, accountability mirror. And I went, what? I don't know what that is. Like, it's like, I didn't listen to David Goggins. And he goes, dude, what you're doing is beating yourself up for the guilt. Own the guilt. Look in the mirror and say, yeah, okay, maybe I fucked up. Maybe my environment this, my story that. But you have the responsibility to do that now. But what I was doing, and this is a personal epiphany, it doesn't apply to everybody, but what I was doing was living in the past instantly. It's like, oh, I fucked up. Okay, look in the mirror. Okay, I fucked up. What do you got to do about it now? Look at that. Feel that pain. Keep that pain going. Because a lot of people like me, I'm sure, they get like this mild to severe depression, and then when it's gone, they're just so relieved. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to address it. But then it's going to come back. 100% it's going to come back. Because you fucking... What did you do to fix it? You just threw it in the back pocket. It's done. Thank God it's done. No, it's not. Nothing changed, man. Your depression's not just magically coming out of nowhere. We can argue chemical imbalance, this and that, but it's a biofeedback thing. There's something you can do to help that, if that's the case. And if it's not the case, or like maybe it is the case because of the environment so like being so relentless throughout your life. Like it's just the way the brain works.
Yeah.
It's a regulation system. It's a self-regulating system. So anyway, I'm just ranting a bit, but like, it's crazy, man. When you're in the spiral, you're fucking twisting, and there's a lot of little tricky things, and I'm slowly learning about myself for real. Not reading a book or something. It's not detached. It's actually me. What's actually going on in my fucking head? And I feel better. Like, in terms of my actions, I see myself feeling better. I still feel kind of twisted up. Like I said, my body is still telling me that I'm anxious and stuff like that, but I'm just addressing it. I'm detaching from the right things, and I'm attaching to the guilt. I used to just go, oh God, the guilt. And then I felt like I had guilt about the guilt or something, or like remorse or something, and throwing my mind into the past, because my body is still in the past with the anxiety. But it's like the carriage is in front of the horse. I got to bring my mind to the present and work on the future, and my body will follow. And fuck, it takes time sometimes, but that's why yoga, meditation, and whatever, just stretching, massages, just get the fucking fascia rearranged so you can chill the fuck out.
Cover all the bases.
Yeah.
Like, really cover them all until
that might be its own anxiety, but cover a few of them. Cover what you can.
Yeah.
It's not hard. And people have excuses left and right, man. I didn't want to see a therapist. And then my friend said, go to a clinic and see a social worker. You know, they're almost as good. Maybe you just need to talk to somebody. Or you know what? There's even a place I found. They charge you based on your income. It's like a volunteer therapy.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's ways, man. We want to hate the government. We want to hate all these things. We want to hate the life, the world, ourselves, whatever. But there's we have people around us that want to help us, even if they don't know us. I'm lucky. I got a lot of friends. I pointed at you. You're one of them, man. I got a lot of friends that fucking love me, man. And I love them too. And they want to help me. And I needed that. I cried, man. I cried so many times in the last few weeks. One of my friends told me, like, you're a good man. You're a good man. You're a smart person. I love you. You're just telling me things I needed to hear. And I burst into tears because it's like I didn't believe it. And someone just reminded me. And because it was someone I cared about, someone whose opinion I knew I valued, I couldn't reject it. And it's like, it hurt. But like, it hurt so good.
Yeah, man. And, you know, sometimes those reminders are just everything you needed to hear. You know, maybe not in the moment, but it's going to ripple.
Yeah, it depends on your level of receptivity, but it's still going to ripple.
When you're in those dark states, man, it's like you're almost turned against yourself for that moment, you know, and that's a tough one to fucking feel. Is when you're just constantly bringing yourself even further down the pit, you know?
Yeah, it's, I mean, I like the word spiral because it's like there is always a movement in life. You can't fuck with that. You just can't. Even if you feel like you're stagnant, there's a pace, a beat, whatever you want to call it. And it's up or down. You know, if you think you're stagnant, over time that's not upward movement, and it's technically downward movement. It's like relatively downward movement. And you feel it. It feels that way. Yeah. And when you have upward momentum, you feel it, and you notice maybe that it's a little harder to maintain than the downward momentum. You know, like that's just being human, I guess. But it's you can still, like, you know, a couple months after being in the gym, it's like a breeze. It's part of your routine. It's integrated into you. That's what integration is like working on something for a period of time, and then it becomes like drinking water. I always say that, drinking water, because it's easy. Yeah, it's just effortless. And it's true, man. It's like we were saying before about these habits, and it pushes you into these depressions. Like there are good habits and bad habits. And then, I mean, if you get into the deeper philosophy of yoga, maybe no habit is the best habit, but they even address the fact that you're a fucking human being. You're a habit machine. You're a programmable monkey thing, you know? And the way to get out of programming is with intelligent programs. You train yourself until you become like hyper aware. And even then there's still programs. You're just playing with it a little more easily, but you're never escaping it, man. And there's no reason to want to, because like we said, you're going there anyway. Just enjoy the ride. And if you really can't and you're just lost, just remember someone else's voice. Stop listening to that fucking fear. That's another friend of mine. Before it was Coco, then it was you, and then my friend Gina, and now this is my friend Johnny. He said that fear, you think that's you, and you start freaking out. don't trust that voice.
Yeah.
You can tell what that voice is. And when he said that, I mean, we've heard that a million times, but like it clicked that time. And I realized my whole life that I've been identifying with that voice. I just thought that was me. I just thought that I was thinking those thoughts. And yeah, I am, but like they're not real.
Yeah.
No thought is really real. It's just like a catalyst to action, a catalyst to emotion. Emotion may even just be the reaction to those actions. So it's like this beautiful cycle that feeds back into your thoughts, which feeds back into your actions and emotions. Like, it's crazy. But he just told me, like, dude, that's not you. Look at the way you're talking now. Look at the way you're feeling now. Who's you? Doesn't matter, but don't listen to that voice. That's literally fear, like a demon or whatever you want to call it. Like, you don't have to box it off and feel like you're being attacked by a demon, like in a victimizing way, but you identify it and then you start ignoring it.
Yeah, and they're all around you. All these, I use the word demon because it's easy to visualize.
It's good.
You know,
it works. But it's a facet of you or a facet of humanity.
Yeah,
like it's.
But they're all there in your mind, and it's which one's coming forth at which time in your life. You know, which one are you feeding more than the others?
Yeah, the two wolves thing, man. I love that. You know, there's just everyone's got two wolves, and like one of them is fighting for life and awesome, and the other one's just a fuck you machine. Yeah. Just you're a piece of shit machine. But they're fighting each other all the time. But you're the one with the food. You're the one controlling which one really gets to live. It's a
beautiful image of the picture.
It is. The food is the attention, I guess. You know?
Your energy.
Yeah. Same difference, right? Yeah.
Which one are you giving to? And you know, we can be giving fear the most food for the longest time. But what's it doing to you? It's destroying you. You know? It's holding you back from what you could be or what you want to be.
And that's the step I'm at now. You know, I feel like I learned all this cool stuff about philosophy and yoga, and like it can backfire a little bit because like the next step is equanimity. Doesn't matter if you're happy either. You just observe. You don't get caught in the tornado, and you don't get identified with the up, because then you feel the down, like as if it's something you have to own as well.
That brings me to the beautiful story Patrice gave us about, were you there for that one, about the tornado? It's like,
no.
Sometimes even in ayahuasca ceremony you can have,
I can't wait to see him again. All of them.
They fucking blast you off with a rapé.
Oh God, yes. Please. I'm gonna be like, let's go, man. I'm ready this time. I'm gonna be so proud of myself. Like, let's go, bro. Big dose.
You've been well trained.
Yeah, that's it. You're gonna be next to me and like, bigger, more. But you're not gonna be there.
I'm not gonna be there, man. That's on you, which is nice.
I'll just throw him a wink. I'll go, I'm ready, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were you gonna say? Tornado?
So when I actually experienced this on ayahuasca, you'll probably get it in meditation for those who meditate. It's like you see your thoughts like in a whirlwind, and it's just flying by, good and bad. Everything's flying. And he was talking about tornado. Everything is just flying around in a vortex.
Oh, I do remember this. Yeah.
If you latch onto anything, you're flying into the tornado and you're spinning around. You're spinning around, and then the calmness is in the eye of the storm, the center. And if you can find your center, that's what we always talk about with rapé, is brings you to your center. Like, that's the best.
Almost forces you.
Yeah.
I don't want to use that word, but like really kicks you into the center.
And like the best way for people, now I'm going to use that explanation. The center means like you're in the middle of the storm. Like you're not affected by any thoughts or anything. It's
a perfect grounded. Fucking metaphor, man. Yeah, it's really good.
I love it, man. And it's so true. And now I never thought of it this way. As I always pictured only grabbing onto a negative thought, it will spin you. But even holding onto positive thoughts will spin you into that, because they're all in the whirlwind. You know? Yeah. Sometimes you think about it, sometimes people, they'll refer back to a moment in their life where it was the good times, and they'll use that, like they're kind of living in the past, living in that life, but that doesn't even exist anymore either, and that could be, in a sense, holding them back too. You know,
it's definitely it's a trap. Like it could lead to, like, nostalgia could lead to like rumination or regret or just like yearning, or like, you know, like you're thrown, like there's all those past words, all those like, you're here. Here's the power. Here's the build the future thing. That's the present is charged with potential. The present really is this future oriented thing. I know they're both kind of bullshit, but I feel like that's helping me now, is like just admitting that I need to do something now to build something later. Yeah. You know, like there's this kind of melange of like understanding that today could be your last day, and then really doing what you want and letting that fuel like the quality of what you're choosing to do. But then the quantity is is like the effort you want to put in to get the thing later.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be in a rat race way, but it's like just living up to your view of your potential, because especially when you start these practices, you start knowing things internally. You just start feeling those things, seeing them clearly from the eye of the storm, if you will. And you know if you're not living up to like your potential. You don't have to be a fucking Da Vinci or something, but you just know you can do better. And it's not that hard for you. Something is just holding you back, some kind of fear. And I fucking identify with that so hard.
There's a good mantra you can give to yourself too. I got it from Breaking Bad of all fucking places. It's
Great
just
show.
Like, you can ask yourself. I think Jesse was talking about a moment in his life when he was in carpenter class, and like he made like a wood box, and he didn't give a fuck if I was in high school. And then the teacher looked at him and said, "Is this the best you can do?" And like that rung with him for years. Like
bitch. You just gotta throw bitch at the end.
They're making a movie, by the way.
Yeah, I saw it.
I didn't see the trailer, but it's pretty cool.
I saw like an article. I didn't click on it either. I want to just see it fresh. I know I'm gonna love it.
Yeah.
Both of those guys are incredible actors.
And that's a mantra I use. I'm like, I constantly ask myself, is this the best you can do? And it's not a coming from a place of negativity. It's just you can genuinely ask yourself after doing a task, like, was that the best I could have done? And then the answer is most probably, I could have done a little bit better.
I guess it could turn into self-deprecation really easily.
It could.
Maybe you just shift the words around if it doesn't hit your ear right or something.
Yeah, but it definitely helps in certain moments. I'm like, fuck, okay, I could have done a little bit better. Was I fully present in what I was doing? You know?
It's funny how I just noticed so clearly in the past, like in retrospect, hindsight, 2020 and all that, but the fear of failure makes me fail so often. Yes. And it seems, I know it's cliche, but like I see it now. I see the mechanism. I see how my fear messes with my work. And sometimes you're doing a test. Sometimes you're talking. It's a first impression. Sometimes the moment matters. And the anxiety is just an anticipation. It's just an excitement. It's good. Use it. You know, there's another TED Talk. Like, you know, I know TED Talks are not like perfectly legitimate all the time. They're just kind of interesting. But there's a really good talk this girl says about making stress your friend. Because stress is kind of like a biological term, but we've turned it into this negative thing. But anxiety is a restriction. It's if you turn the stress into something bad in your mind, then your blood vessels literally constrict.
Yeah.
Did you just break your glasses?
They're okay.
They're functional.
Yeah.
They glasses.
It happens every now and then. It's true though.
Yeah.
You know?
So you do if you make it your friend, like she said, she's really smart, and I don't remember her name right now. But like she has a sister also, and they're like in these psychology or biology fields and stuff. Like you can literally have the same energy, and like I said earlier, like sublimate it. Like it's not even sublimate. You just kind of see it in a different perspective, and you push it into this more positive light, and then suddenly, like in like the Wim Hof science, you know, like instead of just building up cortisol, you have adrenaline now, and your blood vessels open up, and your fucking pupils dilate, and your muscles work better, and your brain works better, and you're just in it. You're like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, power shower, like I was saying earlier.
I did it today.
Make
after
a
my run. But I do katas, man, and I
don't have room in my shower to like really move around.
I did 20 minutes. I started on cold.
20 minutes.
Yeah, after my run.
And it's fucking getting cold now.
Yeah, that's the real cold that we were talking about. We're kind of getting a little cheek.
It's not there yet, but it's halfway there.
I'm
really
training
good.
wheels, man.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely colder than a few weeks ago.
Yeah. It was nice. I wasn't even bothered by it. I didn't even do the Wim Hof breathing. I was just in there.
Yeah, it's starting.
Yeah.
Dude, come over, man. That pool's going to get closed soon, and I know you're going to regret it. It's got to be at like 60 now. It's so cold.
I wanted to ask you, all these thoughts and like these moments of depression that are happening recently, do you think it's like a mental purge that's coming up because you know ayahuasca is coming next month?
I think it did end up feeling that way a little at the end. I feel a little clearer now and kind of acceptant of that part of my mind space. And I feel like I'm going into it more honestly now. But I don't know. I just feel like it's an awareness of this kind of like demon or series of demons that are just a little more glaring now because there's a little less on the top, so I can like see through the surface. And I feel like a lot of it's always been there, and some of it is developed recently, but the seed was still the same. And it's hard to explain. I could maybe go into more detail, but that's more.
They've always been there, but I think your awareness is showing them more clearly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they haven't always been there. That's kind of a misnomer, but it's, something happens when you're young. You feel really safe. If, everyone has like most people have really loving parents, and I don't know. Honestly, apparently my when I was born, my umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck. I was one of those babies. So maybe like being born, even if all goes well, is very traumatic for a baby. But then there's kind of this gift of like not really fully remembering it. But, biologically speaking, there has to be some kind of echo.
Just to cut you off, but it's along those lines. My clients, their daughter was born that way. Yeah. And the osteo told them, like, they went to go see her with the baby like a few weeks later, and he said, this is going to be a cycle. She's going to have fear, a lot of fear. You got to keep pushing her to do things that are uncomfortable, because she's going to grow up with a lot of fear because of that. There's trauma there. And she's
kind of explains my personality a little bit.
She's 6 now, and apparently she wakes up crying at night pretty much almost every night, and she gets scared of things.
Stop rubbing your eyes, bro. I hate to be like mom, but you shouldn't rub your eyes. Like that turned so red. Your eyes bloodshot.
Really? Oh fuck! I got itchy. But yeah, so it's interesting. It's like things you can't even control affect you right off the bat. We're thrown into this fucking dimension with so much baggage already, just from being born.
Yeah. You know what makes me smile though is like picturing like some kind of eternal soul that is like embodying me before being born, just like picking these things off a menu. Just like, okay, like I want to be like afraid my whole life. Like, oh, okay, umbilical cord around the neck. Yeah, okay. This guy's looking good. Like I'm in the top 5 now. Like let's take the Sammy life.
I picture this as like an elevator. You're probably talking to like the maintenance guy, and he's doing with the list. Okay, go. Okay, we got 2 minutes. What else you want? Anxiety. Okay, we'll put a little bit of anxiety here.
I was thinking more like sushi. Like you have a menu and you just like poke the little squares of paper out. You're like, ooh, you're like, I want this. I want this.
And then before you know it, the elevator door opens and you just shot out.
And that's the vagina. That's like like there's this bright light, and then you forget everything, and you're like, what the fuck?
And it's like, okay, that's an interesting one.
It's fun. It's just like it puts some levity to it, and then it's these little seeds and things like that come into play when you're depressed, and you're like, oh yeah, like that. I mean, that was just a humorous kind of take on it, and I really hope it's true. I hope there's some kind of cool like before and after life or whatever, but. Like it does. There's a reason. There's a gem. There's a diamond in the rough of all of these fucking bullshit moments, and it's really fucking buried deep sometimes. Yeah. But the deeper it's buried, the fucking bigger the diamond, so to speak. And it's interesting because we don't have the tools when we're younger to understand like the dynamics of fear and how to navigate all that and life itself. Like it's crazy. Paul Selig, or his guides anyway, if you want to, he always says like fear breeds fear. If you make a choice in fear, you're going to get more fear. And it just kind of sounds like a fortune cookie thing, but if you think about it and start looking for it in life, because
that's the lens you're using.
It's really true. Yeah.
You're using those lens to make your future decisions.
It's even simpler than that, I think. Obviously, that's true. You're carrying this like kind of actionable fear, if you will. But you make a decision in fear. Even if that decision goes the way you want it to, you're in a situation that is fear-based. Mm-hmm. Like, let's say you pick a job out of fear. I was picking between 2 jobs recently, and like you could take a job out of fear, and then you're in that job, and the whole time you're in that job, you're afraid of losing it because you were like it's just kind of
the premise was fear when you chose it. So then it's like the equation started off of fear. It's not going to just disappear. It's going to be it's going to be lingering on throughout all the process.
The reason the fear was there won't go away. It's like if you lose that bet, let's say, and it might actually be a good thing. Maybe it's like the less of 2 evils. I don't know. Life's messy sometimes, but you're literally just gonna be like, oh, okay, like I got the job, like I got the thing that I did out of fear, and now there's just like the same reason that you were afraid is still there. It's not rectified because you got the thing you wanted, because you picked it out of fear. Oh no, I can't do what I want to do, or I can't do I can't pick the other job because there's not enough hours, and I don't know how, I can't do anything on the side. Like you just start putting yourself in little boxes and cages, and
it's pretty much intention, right? Your intention in doing things. Is it coming from a place of fear? Or is it coming from love? Is it coming from a good space?
That seems so easy to me, though. I'm like, for sure, like my perspective kind of governs the way I see things. That's kind of a stupid thing to say in a roundabout way, but like I realized, I guess, that in a material sense, you're literally just going to get more fear situations. Yeah. You're just going to keep getting fear situations because you picked something you didn't even want in the first place. Yeah. You just said like, oh, I got to do this. Yeah. Like I feel like I have to somehow. And now you're in a have to situation. You're not going to be happy. You're going to keep making decisions like, I got to keep this momentum going. I got to get to the end of the race or whatever that totem you put at the end of, just out of reach kind of thing. You're right. It is a perspective because then you're training yourself to just put something out of reach all the time. You're never appreciating what's in front of you. Yeah, I guess it's both. They just manifest into the physical in a way that I didn't see before. It's
a confusing thing to be a human.
Right?
But yeah, like I know.
But we're all confused.
I
hate Facebook and Instagram and shit. We're all like this. Every single one. If you're listening to this, we're all nuts.
Yeah, we're all fucking.
Some people are just better at hiding it. Some people have some shit together, some facets together. They can be the guru. They can show you the way. But in the end, we're all just crazy. We're all just living and dying in about the same time frame. Nobody knows any better. Nobody knows what's going on. Science is a desperate religious attempt to understand what's going on, and religion is the same in a sense, but like we're just freaking out to figure shit out.
It's chaos. It's pure chaos. Yeah. And we're just overgrown children running around, pointing fingers, trying to figure it out, testing and touching all sorts of things, looking under rocks.
And that's a symptom of society. Yeah. I think there used to be more initiations, more tribal identifying, like
what's the coming of age for us? What decides us from being from child to man? We have nothing. For Jews, we have a bar mitzvah. I read a few paragraphs.
Jews got so many smart things, man.
No, it was terrible, man. I read a paragraph from a fucking thing, and I got a lot of money out of it.
It's a modernization for sure, but like
you see these initiations in these tribes, and they're putting their hand in the fire ant glove. You've seen that?
Fire ants, yeah.
Like 13-year-olds are putting their hand in this fucking glove filled with fire ants.
That'll wake you the fuck up.
Bullet ants, I think it was. Sorry,
bullet ants. Right, sorry.
And
I love the name, Bullet.
I got to try this one day. I really want to fucking put my hand in that glove.
I kind of want to also because I feel like I'm really good at managing pain or just letting it happen, sort of. But like, fuck.
It's a sting for about 24 hours. I think it's very intense.
Yeah, but they monitor you because you could start getting like
reactions.
Yeah, like your heart starts freaking out or you're having like a bad breathing or something.
You want to do a Cambo with me?
I'm interested. It's like 20 minutes of vomiting, I guess.
Yeah, there's one pretty much every week. I can
Are you shitting me?
I've been wanting to go for a while now.
The frog poison burn your arm jazz? Yes. That's like pretty much the ultimate nature vaccine?
Yeah, so basically, that's you summed it up pretty nicely. It's they put this frog's venom into your fucking, they burn hole and then they put it in, or they put it in and burn it, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think they stab you and there's some element of fire involved. It's just little burns.
I think it can be a little dangerous though because it is a poison. So I think I want to research it a little bit or just understand like what the counterindications are.
And that was like the nature's vaccine. That's how they did it.
They cure malaria with that and shit apparently.
You drink like 2 liters of water like moments before.
You better.
Yeah.
And then you nothing just to vomit.
People swell up. They look like they've aged 30 years for like 2 to 10 minutes or whatever in that time frame.
Oh my God.
And
you know
there's so many videos, man. You'll laugh. You see people literally look like an old man for like a brief moment and just puking and then releasing everything.
Just the face, like the hungover face. Like
it's like droopy and just like I hate everything.
I saw a couple of days ago actually Ben Greenfield did a couple.
Of Cambo.
Yeah. And he talked about like puked for like 20 minutes, and it's not a hallucinogenic experience. It's just like
definitely not a recreational.
It's more like the Sanaga or whatever there, where you're just going through something funky.
Yeah,
but it's good.
We've spoken about Sanaga on the podcast.
I don't think so, but Google it. Right, it's a tree sap. You put it in your eyes, it burns. But it's I'm sure it's great for your eyes or great for something indirect.
Yeah, it does huge benefits. I want to order some Sanaga. It's tree bark. They put it into a solute, and I don't know how they fucking did it.
Oh, it's like a
Maybe it is the sap.
Extracts, let's say, something like that. Like they...
Yeah, and they put it in your eye, and fucking one drop in each eye or 2 drops in each eye, and it's one of the worst burns you'll ever feel for about 5 to 10 seconds. And
it was intense.
Yeah.
You know when you can't control your face and you just close your eyes?
Yeah.
It's like that for like a minute.
And then
I was just like...
it brings up a lot of emotions. Anything that's kind of stored up there is coming out. It's interesting.
You know what's funny is it kind of like... in retrospect, it kind of like prepared my face muscles for crying. I know that sounds weird, but like totally true. Like we were saying before, like another podcast, like you smile and you'll feel better kind of thing. It's kind of like forcing you to open that gate a little bit.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But it increases your vision for a brief moment, and it's nicely paired with ayahuasca from what I was reading.
Apparently it helps with night vision.
Yes.
I didn't get to really test that out.
Hunters,
I forgot about
they would
that.
use Sanaga before a hunt, so they have their acuity is better.
Totally off topic tangent. Apparently you can control your pupil dilation somehow.
How so?
I don't know. I'm like, this is like when I found out about, I like how you just tried a little bit.
You saw that?
Yeah. You just, did I do it? I think it's something with breathing or with your gut muscles or something. I don't know. Like I want to Google it and figure it out. It's like when I found out about overtone singing. It's like, what do you mean a human can sing 2 tones at the same time? I have to learn this. Like, I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, you start practicing this and show me.
I'd love to. I saw I guess it was like a Vine or whatever exists now, or like a TikTok thing or something. But it's like this person just has like a camera in the person's face, and there's a light. There's no flash like after to trick you. It's like the light's in her face. Her pupils go small, and then they just go big for a second and go back.
Wow.
And her boyfriend freaked out. Her boyfriend was like, "What the fuck?" He just starts walking away, and she's like, "Hey," she feels like a freak after.
That's interesting.
I assume boyfriend. I don't know. It just seems the way they talk to each other.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just random sidebar. Oh, are we out of time? I feel like we're out of time.
No, we're good.
Nice.
Yeah, the Sanaga, from what I'm reading, it pairs nicely with ayahuasca because it's symbolizes opening your vision to the other side. You know, it's a nice little thought beforehand. You know, I wanted to get back to that is because I've noticed before ceremony and even months before, I like once you agree to going, like what day is it? It's in mid-November in the beginning. So you have some time actually. Yeah, but
I'm gonna ignore. I know it's gonna come up, but I'm suddenly gonna be like, no, I can't.
Yeah, for me it came the week before when my first ceremony ever, and I told my buddy, I'm like, I can't do this. It's just I came up with every excuse possible. I'm like, oh yeah, I got something this weekend, can't move it around, man. I'm sorry. And they just wrote back. I forgot what he wrote back.
But it's like, shut up, we're going kind of thing?
It was more subtle than that. It was like, kind of like when I told you I didn't want to go to the gym, and you're like, well, you can just stay home and you deserve this rest.
It was a little reverse psychology.
Like, yeah, I'm like, well, fuck you, buddy. I'm going to the gym. It's kind of like that, and I realized that was my last moment of resistance, you know?
That's how I feel now, is kind of this like machismo, like I said I'm going, and that's just going to get me through the door, and that's all I need to do, and then I'm in their hands kind of thing.
The voice might come in and say like, oh, what do I need this for? I figured it out. It's good. I got the answer I needed.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I had a few of those more complicated defense mechanisms, like oh, I did it once already, or maybe I need to do other stuff first. But the truth is, it's not going to hurt. It's going to help. I know that it's going to reset a lot of stuff, even if it doesn't do exactly what I want it to. But I honestly also really just feel, maybe it's an expectation that's going to get shattered. I'll try to have equanimity, but I feel like now that it's the second time, there's just going to be a more open to the experience, and I'm going to get a lot more out of it. Maybe something more specific, or maybe just a nice general, like just a bodily healing, some kind of feeling.
It's never what you want it.
Yeah, it's not. But I know that I'm going to handle it better when I get out of there this time. I know that I'm going to expect.
Well, you're given tools, man. You're given tools that you can reapply, and that's it, man. Like, there is a curriculum to ayahuasca. Like, the plant has things in store for you. It's not one-stop shop, and you figured it out that one time. And you're going to see that, like, the depths of your depth, like how deep you can go into yourself, it's endless. And there's always new layers to pull through, and you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't even know that. And when I went 3 times this summer, the 3rd time was the hardest out of all of them. It was harder than all the ceremonies or any trip I've ever done. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
to like go through, or to get there, through. Like we were talking
no
about?
To go through. Okay. It was destruction. I didn't even know I can go further than that, where the words like surrender and accept didn't even exist.
You were just
beaten down.
You know what I'm thinking of right now? That scene from Doctor Strange when she like, it's a great movie. Yeah. I mean, as far as Marvel movies goes, it's fucking awesome. And like she like the master lady person like smacks his like spirit, his astral form like out of his body, and just takes him on a fucking ride. Wow. Like the coolest visual crazy thing. And she's like talking over it and talking about how like there's a space where like thought and matter meet and all these crazy things. Like, it's a fucking crazy moment. And like he's falling through space, and then like he lands like in his own eyeball and like this huge head version of him, and then like, oh dude, it's fucking gorgeous.
Wherever that you're talking about, that's where I was.
Yeah, just like tornado, like just like 10 times tornado, like just you lose yourself.
And like there was nothing that could have helped me through it. Just the only thing that helped me was just waiting it out, like accepting that it takes time. But I didn't even know it was accepting while I was in it. It was just fucking destruction.
It was like a real washing machine.
Yeah.
Because like you feel like you go through the ringer, but like, let's say like that one experience compared to other ones, it's more like a punch in the gut or something. And it's like it's disruptive, and you feel shitty after, and you have to kind of figure it out and manage it, and there's all this catharsis and stuff. But this time, you're talking about like you really got spun, and you just couldn't catch your breath. And then when it's finally done, you're like, what?
Pretty much. And then moments where I thought it was done, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting good, and then nope, smack you down.
Yeah.
Like, they gave me like a round off.
Exactly like in Doctor Strange. There's literally these little glimpses of like, and then like it's like comedic almost.
Wow. Yeah, man. And so like there's depths to this thing, and there's moments where you'll do ayahuasca and you'll be like, I'm starting to understand it. I'm figuring myself out, and it's like that moment when you get your beat down. It's like
I did not expect that. Well, I mean, I can't help but expect, so I just kind of accept that. But I mean, even you telling me, your ego's going to try to get in the way and try to stop you, that helped me so much. Just this little like experience that you lived and you shared verbally, it just helped me catch myself. Nice. Like I don't even know what's going to help me at this point.
Yeah,
I just kind of stick and move,
Yeah, but it's very precious though, the moments before ceremony, like the month coming up, the week coming up, because that's where it's kind of like you're going to war, and then beforehand that's all you're thinking about is that war. 2 months behind, you're not thinking about it as much, but when it starts getting like the timer is really coming down, it's like a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, you have nothing left to do but just really think about yourself and be introspective.
But it's funny you say that, because I feel exactly like that. Because it's like we were saying, like 3 months of like this kind of lost feeling. It like morphs into a kind of it reveals itself as a depression, or maybe it just kind of accumulates into a depression because it's like a kind of stagnant, like physical habits or behaviors that I had daily. Anyway, so we could speculate forever. But now it's like it got kind of bad, and then it kind of all reached a spearhead with this like choosing between my current job or this other opportunity, and all this anxiety bubbled up, and like I asked my family for advice, and my brother like laid the truth down and was like, dude, you're 31, you don't have a lot under your belt, you can't make steps behind now. Whichever one you pick will support you, but fucking go 100%, like. And I'm like, you didn't even answer my question. You just made it worse, Like, but he made it worse by just telling me the truth. That's when you know something's wrong, So then I went like hard, and I just felt really shitty in my body. And like I said, I still kind of do. There's just kind of like echoes of that. And now I feel like I can hit the gym again. I feel like I can do some yoga. I can actually sit and meditate. I just couldn't before. Even if I tried, even if I mustered the courage, now my perspective's shifted a little, but I'm not forgetting the pain, like that Miriam girl said. She told me, don't just escape back into comfort because you're just going to do the circle again.
Yeah.
I mean, I met her like 4 years ago, and she laid down the truth too. She said, you've been saying the same fucking song for 4 years, man. Wake the fuck up. And when someone who loves you says that, you're just like, oh crap. Like, yeah. And there's these like, I guess, about 2 months before I hit it, and I get to have this prepare for war thing, like you're saying. I feel that way now because I was looking I was almost picturing myself like going there and being all depressed.
Yeah.
And being like, hey guys, like I hope this makes me feel better, but like I'm just going through the motions. Like maybe they can kind of pick me up and carry me a little bit. But I'm really glad that I can pick myself up now a little bit at least and start getting the lead out, or whatever you want to say. Like start moving the machine a little, and hopefully when I get there, I'm gonna just feel a bit better. I'm gonna feel a bit more like a warrior. Like I'm ready for anything. Not ready for anything specific, hopefully. You know?
Yeah.
But
that's it, man. This is the prep, you know, and it can come a month before, it can come 2 months before in your case, but the prep is there, and now it's being built. So when you do get there, you will have fuel. And even if you have zero and you go there and you're fucking destroyed already, believe me, that happens.
Who knows what'll happen before then? In a way, I feel a kind of somber vibe. You know, like I'm just going there like I feel like it's going to do me so much good, and I don't care how I'm going to feel. And there's something kind of like true about that. You know, like I'm just throwing myself in, and I'm trusting the process, which is really easy because I've been there once before and it was so beautiful.
Yours is at the end of November.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think
you're a little bit earlier.
They don't have a date for it yet, but I think they're gone to Peru for 3 weeks now. And yeah, so we're going to have nice podcasts week before, week after. Both before and after. You'll hear the tone in my voice, they'll hear the tone in your voice. What the fuck came out of it. But the one I'm going to be doing is really intense.
I can't wait to listen to this podcast thing. The tone was so different from our usual stuff.
Yeah.
And also the no headset thing.
How do you like it?
It ended up being the same.
Yeah.
It's more, maybe the volume of our voices is not the same. Like I'm sure there's some difference or something.
I noticed it gets rid of distractions though from outside sounds.
Yeah,
it puts more attention to this actual thing, but I didn't really notice a difference other than that.
But I also feel like maybe, are we out?
Yeah, almost. Yeah,
got a few minutes. Well, like I'll tell you after. We can save the last 5 minutes for something useful.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah.
That's because I noticed too. We're talking about preparing for wars. I noticed, like, it's the weirdest thing to explain, but I'm way more observer than feeler now. Ever since this crazy summer of 3 ceremonies. And then the fucking rapé I've been doing, and the DMT that's I didn't do it last night. I wanted to, but I was so tired.
Oh, I wanted to ask you on the podcast. Like I had you on the phone, and I'm just like you sounded like you had to go, and I was just like, damn it.
I passed out at like 10. I noticed that the running is.
Dude, I passed out really early last night.
You too?
I started going to bed at 9. I was like so tired. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just the darkness.
Yeah, I think we're adjusting. You know,
just getting winter.
Canadians go through it all. You know, the 4 seasons. But I've been noticing as an observer that things are popping up that haven't been thought of for a while. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a mental purge happening in prep for this ceremony that I'm going to have to go to. And it's like your mind's doing some work. It's cleaning up. It's opening files, opening folders, and looking at reading everything it has. And it's okay. What do we have to work on? Almost, you know. And it's literally that, and then
corrupt files.
Yeah, it's like, what can we throw out here? What can we? Okay, and it's literally cleaning up in prep for ayahuasca. It's like there's a cleanse that you do for the physical body, and then there's the psychological cleanse. I think that's working in its own.
It's like the psychology behind cramming, you know, like, or even more simply, it's like if you know you have to wake up early tomorrow, you start feeling tired earlier. Like you just know something's coming, whether it's fully conscious or not. Like your body hears your mind, and something starts preparing.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It's weird, and I've noticed it's not just with you and me. I've noticed this with other people I brought to ceremony. It's like
there's an anticipation. It's unavoidable. Yeah, for sure. It's
usually about 3 weeks before, a month before. It's like when it starts ramping up.
And the thoughts of how do I get out of this starts
and
bubbling.
I've had talks with my buddy Simon, and I remember 4 weeks before, he was like on the phone with him for like 20 minutes. And he's like in a dark place. He's like, I don't think I can go, man. It's like, I'm like, you said yes. Try to find the Simon that said yes. Why did you say yes? Forget this person.
You got a good way of talking to people, man. You got a good. You're a natural coach. It's good.
I wouldn't call myself that, but yeah.
Well, you can inspire. Maybe we all can, but you've got some hours under your belt, I guess.
Well, I appreciate that. It's all through experience, man. It's all through going through it myself. And I think that's the way to inspire people. Just do what you fucking preach, you know, and do it fully. go where they've been, you know. I think it's important that I had that last trip I told you was brutal at the third ceremony, because I was on like a high horse the past few ceremonies. I'm like, fuck, I got this. And it's like,
you think it's just a clear ladder up kind of thing, and it's like, nobody.
No,
we go left, right, up, down.
Yeah, we're taking all the rungs out, and you're flying to the bottom again. And that's gonna relate with people.
Going down.
You know, how do you relate to people when you're at the top? It's not easy, man. You have to fucking go back in the pits and work your way back up. Have a real story to share, not just fucking, I'm on a cloud 9 floating around and it's all good. How does someone relate to that? Some people will.
Exactly, yeah. Wherever you are, you have a range.
Yeah.
There's whatever above, below you want to try to measure, which I'm sure is very impossible, but you can communicate with those people. Like we talked about the celebrities earlier. There's like a level of status or whatever you want to call it, and you can just communicate with people. You can reach them. Yeah. And I always feel that when I'm listening back to these. I'm just admiring only when I'm honest. As soon as I start like just riffing or like talking about information and then not remembering a name or something, I'm just like, why are you even doing that? Just let the heart open and let the mouth like be the mouthpiece.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And just like that. It's a great ending, man.
We just did it.
All right.
Peace and love, suckers.
Yeah. Till next time.
For real though.
This is number